What's all this about long-term use of Benadryl possibly leading to dementia? A lot of us take Benadryl or its generic form in order to sleep. I'm 65 years old now, so this news is troublesome. Well, I'm Glory B and this is GloryB-TV. I'm not a good sleeper like a lot of people. I've researched this news and I'll tell you what I found out and what I'm doing now that seems to be working well. I've been taking a generic form of Benadryl on and off for years to help me fall asleep and stay asleep. It all started many years ago when I started doing a lot of business travel in my early 30s. One hotel we stayed at had an air conditioner that went on and off all night, waking me up each time, and there wasn't a way to turn on a constant fan. So there I was. That turned into not sleeping well on any business travel. And then that morphed into not being able to sleep well at home. I first tried several herbal sleeping remedies that did absolutely nothing for me, such as valerian root. I also read a book at the time written by two journalists who traveled a lot for work and who compared traveling stories with each other and found out they both had trouble sleeping. They did a lot of research and wrote a book that was at my local community college library at the time. I wish I had just bought the book, but I didn't. They had a lot of good tips in it though, so please stay around to the end of the video when I'll share more of their tips. I also tried melatonin many times, and I've taken several different kinds, several different strengths, and including the time release version. Melatonin just doesn't work for me at all. It doesn't make me fall asleep sooner. It doesn't help me stay asleep. And worst of all, the following day around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I get really tired and usually get a headache from it. I don't normally get tired in the middle of the day, so I mixed melatonin. We're talking about the early to mid 90s here, and that's when Tylenol PM entered my life, and it was great. It really worked. I happen to mention I was taking Tylenol PM regularly to a nurse at my doctor's office, and she said, if you're not in pain, that's a lot of Tylenol to be taking. Instead, you can just take Benadryl, since it's the diphenhydramine in Tylenol PM that's helping you to sleep, and that's the ingredient in Benadryl. Well, she was right. You don't want to take a lot of Tylenol, which is acetaminophen, since Tylenol is hard in your liver when you take too much. And if you're not in pain, you don't need to take Tylenol. So I switched to Benadryl, or the generic form of it. I would take it on and off for years. Sometimes I would take the recommended dosage, which is 2 tablets, giving me 50 milligrams of diphenhydramine. Other times I would take only 1 tablet, but I took it consistently, often for months at a time. So what is the problem with taking Benadryl or the generic diphenhydramine every night? The answer is all around what it does in your brain. And a 2015 study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA, found that long-term use of drugs like these was associated with an increased risk of dementia. By the way, I'll have links to the studies I mentioned listed in the description box below the video and in the first comment. Please take the time to read through them. You can even print them out and discuss the findings with your doctor. Now, getting back to the diphenhydramine, it's a type of drug which has anticholinergic effects in your brain, which means that it blocks the action of a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. Among other things, acetylcholine affects memory and attention, basically your cognitive functions. We need acetylcholine in our brains. Blocking it is a bad thing over time. Since that study was published in 2015, I'm blown away that I'm just hearing about it now in 2025. Meanwhile, when I heard about it, suddenly I had a memory flashback to a woman I knew years ago. When I was in my 20s, she was in her 60s. I remember her saying to me one day, I take an antihistamine every day. And that's how she pronounced it, antihistamine, not antihistamine like I say it. She took it for allergies. Anyway, I tucked that into my memory, Fast forward several years, and a friend we have in common told me she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and she eventually died from Alzheimer's. Then I hear about this 2015 study recently saying regularly taking these types of drugs can lead to a form of dementia. Mind blown. Here's the thing about taking these anticholinergic drugs for a long time. Long-term use of anticholinergic drugs may keep acetylcholine receptors continuously blocked, setting off a chain reaction that either promotes the production of beta amyloid, which is a harmful protein linked to dementia, or hinders the brain's ability to eliminate it. Researchers have suggested that these medications might also impact brain inflammation and blood flow, potentially leading to memory loss and cognitive decline. But is it all antihistamines which cause this problem of blocking acetylcholine? Are all antihistamines anticholinergic? No, there are some antihistamines that are not. But the antihistamines which are anticholinergic are, for example, Dimetapp, which is brompheniramine, Dramamine, which is dimenhydrinate, and Unisom, which is doxylamine. The antihistamines which don't have much of an anticholinergic effect are called second-generation antihistamines, and those include Claritin, Zyrtec, Allegra, and Flonase. One of the articles I provide for you includes a link to a helpful chart called the Anticholinergic Cognitive Burden Scale, which lists drugs that can be anticholinergic and then lists them in 3 separate tables in order of a low burden with a score of 1 to a high burden with a score of 3. It lists the generic name and the brand names we know them by. The low burden drugs with a score of 1 include Claritin and Zyrtec, but they're considered to be low risk. There are many drugs which are anticholinergic, not only antihistamines. I was surprised at how long the list is. Now, knowing that I've been taking an anticholinergic drug pretty regularly on and off for a number of years, I'm a little bit horrified. And at the same time, I'm changing things. I've already told you that I've tried many of the herbal or natural remedies that work for a lot of people, which include melatonin, valerian root, chamomile, lavender oil, and passion flower, but they didn't work for me. You might consider trying these yourself, as they do work well for many people. Then I turn my attention to magnesium because it helps relax muscles and reduce stress, promoting better sleep. However, there are different types of magnesium supplements. If you look up on Amazon the words magnesium supplement, most of what you'll be shown will be magnesium citrate, or perhaps a supplement with 2 or more types of magnesium, such as magnesium citrate, malate, and glycinate, all in one supplement. But magnesium citrate is the one that is like a laxative. If you're always constipated, it should be fine for you. But if you're not constipated, and I'm not, then you don't want to take magnesium citrate. The one to take is magnesium glycinate. A friend who started taking this a few years ago recommended I take 400 milligrams in the evening. She actually said to take between 300 and 500 milligrams. Now, I don't take it before bed, which is what she suggested. I take it at dinner. And for the past several weeks, I've been taking 1 capsule, which is only 125 milligrams. And so far, that seems to be working well. That takes me to the next question. Which brands are good ones? I'm going to recommend either metabolic maintenance or pure encapsulations. There's very little extra added to these brands in terms of inactive ingredients. Now, I've been taking the metabolic maintenance brand lately, and they're capsules that are easy to swallow. I think I've been sleeping just as well as I was with the Benadryl. Links to both of these brand supplements are in the description box and in the first comment. Now, what about making sure we're eating foods that have magnesium? I've linked below to an article on the Cleveland Clinic site that lists 25 magnesium-rich foods. The top ones include pumpkin seeds, and I'd suggest raw unsalted pumpkin seeds, black beans, quinoa, spinach, Swiss chard, avocado, bananas, papayas, blackberries, green peas, and potatoes. I mentioned earlier a book I found at the library years ago where two journalists teamed up as authors to write about how to get better sleep, especially if you have a hard time falling asleep or staying asleep. And some of the tips they recommended are have a regular sleep schedule for going to bed and getting up. Turn off all screens 1 hour before going to bed. Now, by screens, we now mean your phone, tablet, TV, and computer. This is because blue light disrupts natural melatonin production. I'm okay with natural melatonin, just not the supplement kind for me. I think it's also a good idea to power down these devices and walk away from them just because each one loads information into your brain, and your brain needs some time away from all that information and stuff to get ready to sleep. Taking a warm bath or shower can be relaxing and help to promote sleep. Do some gentle stretching exercises. Now, I avoid vigorous exercise within 3 hours of going to bed, but doing vigorous exercise earlier in the day can actually be helpful for sleeping later. Practice deep breathing. So many times, just the thought of not being able to fall asleep or stay asleep can make us feel anxious. Doing deep breathing exercises can help to lower that anxiety. Now, what about food and drink at night? Well, avoiding anything with caffeine and other stimulants is a good idea. Also, avoiding alcohol and sugary foods is a good idea too. But if you're hungry, eating a small banana or half a banana, a few almonds, or a few dried tart cherries have been known to be sleep promoting foods. And drinking some herbal tea certainly won't hurt unless you drink a lot of tea and wake up in the middle of the night in dire need to go to the bathroom. A woman who is about my age and who brought all of this to my attention also admitted that she took Benadryl for years in order to sleep. When she found out about this issue, she stopped taking it, and then she started supplementing with choline. She wants to make sure her brain has enough choline for the rest of her life, since, like me, she was taking the Benadryl choline blocker, right, for several years. Pure Encapsulations is a brand that makes a choline supplement, and they also make something called phosphatidylcholine, and both are listed as good for cognitive function. Now, as I'm recording this video, I haven't decided which I'm going to take. Right now, the choline costs 19 cents a day, and the phosphatidylcholine costs 51 cents a day, so maybe I'll start with the cheaper alternative and see how it goes. Another option to help you sleep at night, something I really like, is my foot massager. This thing is amazing. Some of my friends want to use it when they come over. It's 15 minutes of pure relaxation. I'll post my short video about it here and link it in the description box and first comment in case you want to check it out. And I'll see you in the next video.